like the idea of a Boxcar Children prequel, but now I want a Boxcar Children sequel. A book where Henry finally graduates from college, where Jesse marries John Carter, Benny takes over grandfather's business, and Violet becomes a Carmelite nun.
Argofont Book Review, Argofont Book Review.
This review was commissioned through Patreon. Patreon! Please give me your money. The Aldens are 4 happy children who live on a farm with their parents. They do chores, have fun with the cows, and they make a hideaway inside the barn loft. Papa warns them that hard times are coming because of the Great Depression. And yeah, now we're going to have hard times fitting this book into the Boxcar Children timeline. After all, they just wrote a book for the 2016 election that doesn't really fit with the Great Depression era. A car belonging to the Clarke family breaks down on their property. The Clarks have a dog named Joe and 2 kids named Meg and William. They make fast friends with the Alden kids. Jesse tries to make them feel welcome, William reads to everyone, and Benny becomes obsessed with the dog. The Aldens generously offer to let the Clarks stay with them until the car gets fixed. This ends up taking at least 3 months, so I can only assume they're getting replacement parts from Siberia. They have fun making buns when Violet accidentally breaks Mama's favorite teacup. She cries and Mama tells her it's okay. Things aren't as important as friends and family. You can replace a teacup, but you can't replace a person. Violet secretly fixes the teacup, and even though it's still broken, it's almost as good as new. Almost. I'll be honest, this scene broke my heart a little bit because I know the Aldens are going to become orphans by the end of the book. Why is Mom talking about not losing people? That just makes me want to cry. They go to school and Mama plays music for everyone. They get a globe and learn that they're a small dot in the big world. Mama talks about their estranged grandfather. Papa and grandfather got into a fight over where the Aldens should live. Both men are too stubborn to admit they're wrong. Considering that grandfather is a millionaire tycoon and they're on a poor farm in the Great Depression, I think living with grandfather would have been a better choice. The kids decide to put on a circus for the neighborhood. They all dress up in their parents' clothing, and they perform. Benny does tricks with the dog, Meg rides the cow, and they dress up the other cow as an elephant. It's a lot of fun, and just when they're talking about how wonderful the circus was, the spare part for the car comes in. Oh, that's why it took 3 months. The car part was waiting for the most dramatic moment. The Clarks are sad they have to leave, and the kids promise to remain friends forever. They promise it isn't goodbye, but the Clarks never appear again in the series, so this is goodbye. Chapter 11 is a transition chapter, which quickly goes over everything else that happened that summer. A family camps out in the Alden Meadow, while another family that lives in their car stays on their property for a week. I'm not sure why people keep confusing Fair Meadow Farm for a parking lot. A pregnant woman and her husband get lost on the way to the hospital, and she ends up giving birth in the farmhouse bedroom. All these stories could easily be their own chapter, but they all get lumped together. I thought that was weird. We get 3 chapters about the circus and only half a chapter about a kid being born? I'd honestly rather hear about that. Near the end, Mama and Papa go into town together. The sheriff arrives a few hours later and says there was a car accident. They're gone. The only thing left of them is a spool of thread they bought for Violet. Henry and Jesse realize they'll be put in an orphanage unless they run away. They tell the others, and surprisingly, Violet and Benny have nothing to say about the fact their parents just died today. They're like, cool, let's run away! They make all the necessary preparations for leaving, and they head off on a new adventure all by themselves. The end. Post-book follow-up. I was surprised to see this book had an author because there are over 100 Boxcar Children books written by uncredited ghostwriters. Why is this the only author to get a writing credit? Well, because she's famous. Patricia MacLachlan is the author of the Newbery Award winner Sarah Plain and Tall, which is loved by millions of children for being short. Seriously, I remember in 5th grade we were told we had to read award-winning books, and some kids picked Sarah Plain and Tall just because it's under 60 pages long. MacLachlan's brevity is a good fit for the Boxcar Children because it's similar to the style of the original author, Gertrude Warner. It reads a lot like Warner could have written this, with one exception. Warner normally had scenes that last a full chapter, like the kids eat lunch or Benny sees the culprit acting suspiciously. MacLachlan, on the other hand, prefers to have multiple scenes per chapter, which isn't bad necessarily, but it was different enough that I noticed it. I'm not saying the narrative's bad. The narrative is good. It's gentle and tender. It's clear that the author cares about these characters, and they're just as friendly, intelligent, hardworking, and independent as ever. So good job on that front. The book never says directly that the Alden parents died. All it says is that there was a car accident, and the kids knew what that meant. No one uses the words death, dying, or any variation of those. The book skips over the scene where Henry tells Benny and Violet about the death. I can understand leaving that scene out because it's sad, but at the same time, it's so weird that the book would leave out a pivotal scene like that. They jump straight from, I'd better tell the others about Mom and Dad, to, we're gonna run away forever. I know these are independent kids, but I think it's going too far when they never mention their parents again. Overall, the book is good. Most readers like it because it finally explains what happened to the Boxcar Children's parents. I personally would have shortened the middle third of the book and expanded the last third, but that's just me. I also might have expanded a couple chapters here and there. I like the music playing thing. I wish that was a full chapter, not just half a page. But as we learned from the teacup that symbolizes family, it's still good, even if it's not perfect. I give Boxcar Children Beginning, The Aldens of Fair Meadow Farm, a 7 out of 10.